when I'm not debating where to slide monkeypox into the hierarchy of things in Florida that terrify me. I like to answer questions and comments that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Hey Sean, how do you go about outlining chord tones when the chords are changing quickly? Should each chord be recognized within the solo, or should I just focus on the tonal center of the key as that will always sound good? Great question. This was also something that I used to think about before I really ever started soloing. And the answer that everybody always wants to hear that never makes any sense is, it depends. Most of the time, what you're kind of thinking about, what you're inferring is true. As long as you know what the tonal center is, just stick there and you don't have to worry about the chord tones. I want to do a couple examples of what I mean by that. So let's start by doing something like annoyingly peppy. I'll just loop a D major, G to A chord progression, right? G, A, and then we'll go to B minor. Okay, so we've got that chord progression, and it's like, all right, what do I want to play here? Do I play something D major over the D, G major over the G? D major, G, A, B. Back to, oh my gosh, where did I start, right? It's like you gotta keep switching and doing stuff. That's not the way to do it. I thought maybe that's how people were doing it when I would watch them do stuff and like make those decisions in real time. Again, contextually, in most musical situations, you want to just find the tonal center. What's this tonal center in this right here? D? We're just in D major, right? Okay, so that whole time, I was just in really mostly D major pentatonic, the D major scale. You learn one shape, and all the chords that are diatonically, it's gonna sound good, right? Especially when you're kind of just like gliding through it. Like right there, if you don't know what that is, it's right here. Minor pentatonic, position 1, in the relative minor. I did a video a couple days ago that was really heavy on that relative minor. Whether it's major, pentatonic, relative minor, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking of this spot right here. My pinky is on the D, on the E string. That lines my pointer finger up with the B, which is where that relative minor is. So the hot spots are going to be right here. 7-10, 7-9, 7-9, 7-9, 7-10, 7-10. I'm not even leaving the shape. Now again, it can get a little bland over time. That's why eventually you want to do, maybe think of chord tones. One great thing to do that I like talking about is finding that major note right here in that minor pentatonic shape. It's the G string, pointer finger. I talked a little bit more about that in that lesson too. But if you start outlining chord tones like that, like here's a D major arpeggio, really. 7, 9, 11 on the G string. 10 on the B string, which is really kind of like right there in that shape, but sliding into that next shape will do some really cool things for you. So something like that, that was all chord tones, okay? So I got out of the pentatonic shape by sliding through that arpeggio into what I know is a D note on the high B string, the 15th fret. And that's where you might want to kind of like start experimenting with that. But you need to be comfortable just doing this first. Okay, and that's not too difficult. It's really just exploring the pentatonic shape and then just being able to navigate fluidly forward and back through it. Now, where changing with the chords comes in, playing with the chord changes, playing with the changes, however people talk about that, is when you have a chord that is not in the key, okay? So we're gonna do a similar example, but we're gonna change one thing, okay? So let's do D, G, B flat. Okay? So right off the bat, when that B flat comes, first of all, it's just better because it's got something cool going on. So now it's like, all right, well, I can play in that same shape. you run the risk of like maybe hitting a sour note that doesn't flow with the spirit of the song. And that's the point, right? If you have something that is outside of that key, just kind of like take a note of where that is, and that would probably be the next level of soloing, being able to diagnose where that is. Like, all right, let's say when I get to that B flat, I want to do something just outlining the chord tones of what that B flat major is, right? And maybe I'll do something like right there. I'll do the 6th fret on the high E string, which is B flat, and then I'll go back to that A note, which again, if our tonal center is still D, D major, all that stuff is going to work, but that one spot you run the risk of maybe doing something bad. But even if it's bad, it's going to sound great because I'm playing it through a Supro Royale amp that Sweetwater sent me. Also with the D'Angelico Deluxe SS and the Pigtronix Infinity 3 looper. That's really all I got going on right now. So again, Sweetwater sponsored the video where I just kind of like started rocking out the amp. I really love the sound of this amp. So if you're feeling frisky, show the people at Sweetwater some love with the affiliate link in the description, and just make it happen because it's a lot of fun. So when we get to that B flat, I'm gonna exaggerate going to it, right? See how it kind of like, it moves with it, and it takes what's kind of, you know, maybe jarring, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's different about that one spot. So it's like, all right, that one spot I'm gonna hone in, and I'm gonna outline something in that chord. Again, that's just one, there's a lot of different ways to do it. The tried and true triad kind of lick that you can always do over any major chord is like, all right, I know that B flat is on the high E string. Maybe I'm gonna slide into its major third right here, which right there is my middle finger on, what is this, the 7th fret of the G string right there. And then you see how like once I slid in there, and then I got right back into what I'm thinking of as like D major, right? So again, you know, that B flat isn't like so far outside of the key, right? It's just the root note of that chord. The major third is still in the key. So that's not a super jarring thing, but it is something that you might want to take note of when you are doing like solos and stuff, right? Let's do one more example where, let's do like one of my songs where it's like a couple different major 7 chords in spots that they shouldn't be in. So like D major 7 to B flat to G, right? And now this is gonna move, we'll have this purposely move a little faster, like. Okay, so that's D major to B flat to G. I can stay in that same spot. And it's like, okay, I almost feel like I'm forcing that position onto it, or maybe I want to do something a little more thoughtful. It's like, all right, I've got that D right there at the beginning. So there's the B flat and the G. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off thinking about a D chord just for a second. I could even do like minor pentatonic. I think that sounds better actually. Maybe I could start with D major, go to B flat major, and then outline the G. Okay, so again, those are really quick examples, but I do want to break down a little slower how that would work. So we have that real quick, D, B flat, G, okay? Now again, a couple different ways you can look at that. You can look at these as a G minor arpeggio being spelled out with different chords, right? So maybe we could just use G minor's pentatonic. What does that sound like? It's like, all right, doesn't not fit, but is it really great? I don't know. Maybe we'll start with just like kind of doing something starting on a D and then making our way to B flat and then kind of going through like a G arpeggio, right? So that would be like, that right there is like kind of a fluid line that has the spirit of the chord progression baked into it, right? So again, I'm starting just kind of something on G. And I feel like something like that is a lot smoother in the context of the chord progression. So that's why I say it depends, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to think so hard about what the chords are as long as they're all in the same key. If that's the case, just stay in one position and just rock it out. But if it's kind of like a weirder chord progression or maybe something a little jazzier, then you do have to think about the changes and know where those changes are going. But also another thing is like, just like me worrying about monkeypox in Florida, this isn't something that you're gonna have to worry about until you can really kind of get those like diatonic licks and soloing into your playing. You're probably not going to be faced with like a lot of like really weird different colored chord tones and stuff that are really going to mess you up. Start simply and then kind of work your way up, introduce different things into it. That's why you should really get yourself a looper pedal with the affiliate link at sweetwater.com, and then just, you know, be easy on yourself. There are no bad notes. It's just, you know, notes that you haven't found the right spot for yet, and then just keep playing. Why do you remind me of a bird? LOL, okay, I'm high, but still, great video. You look like PewDiePie's poor cousin. Was it necessary to say I look like his poor cousin? Like what? I get compared to PewDiePie every single day in the comments for whatever reason, but it's usually just like, oh, you look like PewDiePie. You don't look like his poor, destitute, down on his luck cousin. Seems a bit unnecessary. I have to tell you, as an intermediate player, your lessons are complete trash. You're doing a huge disservice to the community by producing these videos. Man, a disservice to the community. That's tough. That's this definitely sounds like one of those HOA Karens, just like I was talking about last week, giving me a hard time about like a little weed popping out in between one of the brick pavers, looking out for the good of the community. Sorry to be doing a disservice. I'm trying my best. Lesson to homework, I'm gonna throw you to Phoebe Bridgers, the most beautiful woman to ever walk the earth. I just went to see her live last night. I think I'm probably gonna make a little video about me and Andrea going to see that because it's just so good. Huge Phoebe Bridgers fan, and again, we have the same musical influences. Like, she's a giant Elliott Smith simp. So I think you definitely hear it in some of the songwriting, so check that out. Thank you again to Sweetwater and Supro for sponsoring this video. If you have any questions or comments, hit me in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.